Hi everyone, this is a quick video. I'm just walk through the sort of upgrade process of my test controller. I have Cisco 9800 controller. So currently it's running 17.18.1 version. So now if you want to upgrade this to latest version, 17.18.2, I already download the image, now in here, if you go to administration and software management, you will have options of upgrading, like in that way. One important part is just to make sure your upgrade mode is supposed to be installed. Sometime if it is a bundle mode, you better basically change it to install mode. And then typically if you have production environment, you will not click this particular option, a one-shot install upgrade. This one basically will creating a controller to be reload and AP image to be push all the APs, so it will create a outage. But sometime in my lab environment, I would like to go to that one-shot upgrade because I only have one test access point. So now in here, probably the image you want to download, probably you can say from your download to your desktop, you can copy it across. So let me select the file. This is sort of 17.18.2 9800 CL. It's roughly around 1.7 gig kind of file. You select the file, now in here, in a production typical environment, what you need to do is, you will select the AP image pre-download. That will basically make sure your APs will download the image from the controller, the new image, without even starting the upgrade kind of process. That will minimize the downtime. But in my case, whenever you select that, you will have an option, also have a something called hitless upgrade. That mean you move your APs to the other controller, N+1 backup controller. But all these options useful in this scenario production environment. But in my case, what I'm going to do is I'll just hit this enable one-shot upgrade, select the file, and simply click download and install. You will get warning messages. This will start new image and activate it. In case of a image activation followed device reload with the new software. Do you want to proceed? Yes, I would like to proceed. Now important part is now whenever you do this kind of upgrade, especially in the production environment, I would suggest you to basically monitor the console of the controllers, get log all these particular messages coming to your in here as well. You can check the show logs. It will tell what's happening, but sometimes this is like a graphical user interface, you may not have a record of what's being appearing here. In case something happen, you need to tell Cisco TAC. This is sort of a log messages tell. They may be able to identify something if something goes wrong. That way, typically at the moment you can see still what's happening is my image being copied across to the flash of the 9800. That's what's happening at the moment. So let's give a little bit of time. And once image being copied across, it will go through the upgrade process. You can see the detail here of the log messages. Now while upgrade is happening, I would like to basically normally whenever you do this kind of upgrade, always check the release note. Now in here, this is release note for 17.18.2. Normally, very, very important. If there are some software defects, they will clearly. Now let me just show the, the download page as well. Sometime whenever you go to, so now you can clearly see, if you have ISSU in service software upgrade from wireless platform 17.12 to 17.18 or 17.15 to 17.18 affected by certain critical bugs. Okay, in that way now probably you need to refer this bug detail, like again, that way if you have ISSU environment, they are not recommended to do ISSU from this code version to 17.18 that have like certain impact. In that way, release not typically available in the download page, wherever you download, you check all this release note. But I would like to simply walk through a couple of release note things, the purpose of I am doing this because now I did sort of a WPA3 enterprise kind of security video. I would like to configure WPA3 enterprise with this particular 9800 controller. In that way, now 9800 has certain improvement, certain security enforcement, some, those listed here in this particular release note section here. Okay. In that way, now other thing, check, make sure sometime now new hardware features. That mean if you have a 9174 Wi-Fi 7 access point, those access point needed, this 17.18 code version. Okay, in that way, that's an important thing to remember. And if you have this stadium type of AP as well, 9179, prefer to have this kind of code version. In that way, check whatever, like a newer controller model, also physical controller 9800-L, CW 9800-L, that's also supported in this particular code version. Now certain change in the behaviors, some important information listed there. So those you need to basically and then they basically deprecating some weaker security method, they highlighted there. That's what basically in this particular section here, what's being changed, and then basically what other defect has been fixed. So sometime if you're facing some defects or bugs, probably some of them has been fixed here. They listed typically unresolved issues as well. Probably go through this, this is a ISSU bug we discussed earlier. It's critical bug still not being fixed. In that way, probably avoid ISSU if you are going to this particular 17.18 code version. So now they typically give a a general recommendation before you upgrade. We talk about these are the most important part. If a production environment, read this detail. They recommended some intermediary kind of upgrade path. 17.15 to 18 will not have affected by this AP reload issue. If you are concerned about that bug, probably you can work around like that. Yes, in that way now, make sure you read this release note. Very important. But in my case, let's see what happened now. Okay. Now we can see here reason there's not enough free space available to perform this on the chassis. At least now you can see here. So they're complaining about I have not enough free space. So ideally what happened typically, how can you basically do that? Probably you will go ahead and this will remove inactive. Probably I need to remove the inactive file if you don't have enough space. Probably I have only 1.7 gig right now. My file size also close to that. So they're just complaining. Let's see whether we can remove this inactive file and we'll increase this file size. Now in here, they're basically saying installing, install remove inactive kind of thing. So now they will ask us to So while that's happening, let's go back to our release note just to finish that conversation what we had. So typically they will listed all those upgrade path dependencies. Those will be listed there. It's a very important, like if you don't follow this, probably you will be ending up with some kind of trouble. Probably you may need to get then technical support sometime. If it is critical, you may need to get technical support. Otherwise, you can read this document and recover whatever the issues you are encountering. Yeah, then typically, typically once you do this kind of code upgrade, I would say, you check the configuration guides, like sometime they will listed, like now if I search 9800 17.18 config guides, you can see here in this configuration guide section here, 17.18 updated as of now. For example, I would prefer basically you download it as a PDF copy, because in that way you can search and you can control F and find relevant information much quicker. I want to, so now let's get PDF, let's say 17.18.2 or something like that. Let's see what happened in this download file. You can see here, finish the cleanup. Okay, so now everything is cleaned up. Now let's try whether let's refresh and see whether it will show the free space. Okay, now it says only have a 3 gig. I have a 3 gig kind of space. So now let's give it a try this time. Probably my file size is 1.73. Hopefully this will work. And one shot upgrade. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's give some time. And while that's loading, I just want to show you that PDF file which I downloaded. Now, for example, now if I'm interested about WPA3, I will go WPA3. Now, should be support for Flex Connect, WPA2, WPA3. Some of these things has been maybe introduced this code version. Identity PSK configuration with WPA3. Now WPA3 Enterprise, this is what, what I'm interested. Now, whatever the things has been changed, WPA3 Enterprise, this configuration section. So typically if something has been changed, it will listed, like before you begin or something like that, it will be. Now, for example, now here, WPA3 SAE, they're saying fast transition adaptive is not supported with SAE. So this kind of information is valuable, because now sometimes Cisco had something called adaptive R. Now they're saying that is no longer recommended, because it is not supporting with WPA3. You have to natively enable those kind of features. Yeah, like that, I just want to make sure you get the detail what are necessary, because sometimes this kind of code upgrade can change the behavior. Okay, now let's see after this 100%. Previously you saw error message. Hopefully this time it will not happen. So previously you saw a warning message here. There's no enough space, but this time this step should be proceed because we clean up some unused file from my 9800 controller. And here if you show logs, you can see here initiating the upgrade process. You can see checking the divided is allowed, performing add on all members. So typically if it is high availability pair, this will go through standby, unit also need to be upgraded. But in my controller only one VM, no high availability pair here. So still, while these things happening, still your controller is client servicing, no problem. There are no impact yet, but whenever they download the images, there will be a controller going to be reboot, and then typically 10-15 minutes kind of downtime will be anticipated. This kind of one-shot upgrade process. But if you're doing a rolling AP upgrade, that means you only preloading limited number of APs that can drag into 2-3 hours, but impact will be minimized. That's called in-service software upgrade. You are upgrading limited number of APs in one kind of round. So you can here perform now finish the image adding. Image version is that. Now this activating, probably now we will soon. This GUI page will be unresponsive because controller will be rebooting. Now let me just pinging the command. As typically this is another sort of a option you can do on to 168.130.20. So when is your controller is unresponsive, still it is starting activate. They modify the sort of boot flash sort of like this being activated. So you have to be patient with this kind of upgrade process, like don't disturb it, let it running, like that's one important thing. You have to be patiently wait until the upgrade process completed rather than go ahead and disturb the process. You can see it's finish activate. So starting to commit. That means changes has been committing. So this is one important step, like some time when you're doing, because since we went with one shot upgrade, all these things will be happening automatically. But otherwise, if you went with ISSU kind of upgrade, you want to make sure you commit the change after all the APs being upgraded. Otherwise, after a certain time, it will be rolled back the change. That will basically will be disruptive. Even the ISSU software upgrades are, like you can do the upgrade, but downgrading process will be disruptive. Controller will be reboot with the previous image, and that will creating a downtime for your environment. And that way, it's important to monitor this upgrade process and commit the change after all the AP being upgraded. So now in here you can see now controller is basically unresponsive. That means it's going to be rebooting. Okay. So we need to wait controller to be responsive back. That should come with the 18.17.18.2. Now in here, if you look, currently 17.18.1. Now controller is being rebooting. So you can see now controller started to respond it back. Okay. So now probably we need to give a little bit of time, because now this browse session, maybe even though it's appearing here, it will not automatically connecting back, like you need to. So even the controller came back responding, probably the web services and other things, maybe you can see the session being timed out. It's saying okay. Now if I go and logged in again, now typically you can see now AP is down. That means access point will be rebooting as well, and it will get the image 17.18.2. But now if I go to the software management page, now you can see here like there are some virtual assistants, these warning messages. Now if you look at the, like now in here, probably now you can see here you have again 1.6 gig space. Ideally you need to remove the inactive file, but this particular time my previous code version 17.18.1 file will be removed. So if I say just go ahead and do this particular step, it's a good step to do because it will remove the unnecessary file. Now make sure this time it will be deleting 17.18.1. Let's do that step as well. And by the time AP should be come back and registered. Now you can see it's a timestamp 1331. So this is the latest logs messages. It says basically that file has been done, clean it up. So now this is sort of like some of the unnecessary file, and then these are the one being deleted, certain sort of file. Following files being deleted, 17.18.1, which is not necessary. But this one basically, again, maybe not necessary. This bin file and conf file. Everything has been cleaned up, so it looks good. If I refresh this particular page, probably you should see that free space has been increased, should be increased, previously 1.6 gig. Now you can see 4.9 gig file is space is available, in that way. So now if I go to dashboard, now you can see the access point also came back with 17.18 code version. Now if you want to make sure client is basically successfully able to connect, so I would basically go ahead and let me just go to my Windows computer and show you. I'm connecting to a SSID MRN-X, the .1x SSID. I will make sure my client can connect to here. Now if I go to netsh command as well, now you can see there's a Wi-Fi 7 client. I'm connecting to a .1x kind of security, WPA2, even though it says WPA2 enterprise, he's connecting across a multiple link. I will do a separate post on this, a Wi-Fi 7 enterprise connectivity. Now I'm able to connect to client. Now if I go here, monitor client, I can see that particular client connectivity. You can see it's like a MLO kind of connectivity, multi-link operation. If you click here, you can see now client connected across 6 gigahertz and 2.4 or 5 gigahertz. Currently traffic is going through 6 gigahertz kind of link. So now important things typically in the production environment, if you do upgrade, I would go to dashboard and make sure number of APs, prior to the upgrade and post upgrade, is it tallying? Client count may be not exactly same, but typically if you had 1000 client beforehand, if you get around that particular mark, post change, that indicating most of the client able to connect. Okay, in that way, by using the client count and AP count, you can validate your change is successful or not, but you have to go through your formal change acceptance kind of plan. What's your typically your checklist of change verification. Hopefully this video is useful, but I just want to make sure I do a quick video while I'm doing the upgrade process of my controller.